Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today just I am going to put forth my second lecture about the chapter named The Portrait of a Lady. So it is my second lecture. So I think here the writer Khushwant Singh's parents were living just in the city. Yes, obviously they were living in the city and they were trying to be settled down there because they did not want to just come back to the village again to be also resettled in the village. So rather also intensively also change their minds to be settled down in the cities. So ଯାହା ସ୍ଥିର କରିଥିଲେ ସିଟିରେ ସେଟେଲ୍ ହେବା ପାଇଁକା. So also they had also left the writer Khushwant Singh under the custody of the grandma or grandmother. So under the custody of the grandmother, so from there so grew or developed a constant relationship or companionship between the grandma or grandmother and also the writer Khushwant Singh. So as because the grandmother also woke him up in the morning, early morning, and also grandma just gave him a bath and dressed him, fed him, and made him ready to go to school, how to reach school in the proper timings. So while all these things she was arranging orderly, so during that time she was singing the prayers constantly, which bored the writer. It was great boredom because it was not just loved and liked by the writer Khushwant Singh. Even though, anyhow, also the writer Khushwant Singh preferred or liked and loved his grandma's sweet voice, sweet tone of the prayers. So जहाँ भी खुशवंत सिंह बहुत भल लगुला भॉइसटा बहुत स्वीट था. Even though he did not like the prayers also made by his grandma very constantly or always every time. So another thing just I will also go through about that. So the school was running in the temple. Because sadharan as usually the schools were running in the past time in the temple. And the priest was also the teachers who was teaching the students. So while also grandma just bringing the writer Khushwant Singh to the temple to study there. So while Khushwant Singh was also writer was reading just one side or one part of the veranda. So during the time the grandma was also reading the scriptures of different textbooks on the another side of the veranda where they were wasting the times. Because when she knew that just my dear children are going through their lessons, then I must be careful about going through the scriptures or the text of the religious books. ସେ ବି ଧର୍ମଗ୍ରନ୍ଥ ପଢ଼ାପଢ଼ି ସବୁ କରୁଥିଲେ ସେ ଟାଇମ୍ରେ. So another thing also that is so when the study was completed, so both also they were returning back home, they were coming back home. So on their way back home, so grandma was also giving the crumbles of the chapati or the pieces of the chapati to the street dogs. So as a result, the street dogs also followed them and also demanding more and more chapatis. As a result, there was also fighting between or among the dogs, but also very constantly during that time. So because they were also following the grandma and they also wanted more and more chapatis to be given by the grandma. As a result, they followed and fighting in between themselves for getting more the stale chapatis, the pieces of stale chapatis from the hands of the grandmother. So I think it was the second lecture about that. So it is just analyzed about that. It means I think the writer Khushwant Singh just was very significantly just left alone just in the hands of the grandma by their parents, because they are living just in the city, and just they want to be just to be settled down that place also in the city. They did not know, also they want to no more come back to the village. Their preference would be given back to the city. So anyhow, so their grew developed I think it is a magnificent, I think very placid relationship between this grandma and writer Khushwant Singh. Both loved each other, both also enjoyed each other, and both also sharing each other their thoughts, their feelings, their ideas, and feeling of the companionship just as a blooming flower. That is the gateway of success, just between them during the time. So I think many more things also they also storytelling, and giving some also the wiseful tips, and also the prayers. So different many more things were just being told by the grandma to writer Khushwant Singh. So anyhow, so there also developed also grew a, I think a just the magnificent or the elegant relationship between these two. So I think this was my the second lecture. So next and last I'll go tomorrow. Then still then, just have a cheerful day, and bye to all.